Welcome to Guy Code. This is the first podcast for guys by guys. I am Rena Oswara from Nairobi, Kenya. And today on this first episode, we have my friend here, Ian. Ian, how is it going?
I'm doing good. How are you?
So this is the first episode of Guy Code, my first podcast. So the first episode is just about boyhood to manhood. How was the transition for us being from boys? Then we discovered our masculinity. We discovered what masculinity is for us. So let's start, Ian. When did you first notice this change? Like, how old were you when you started like, okay, this boy stuff has to change and I have to grow into someone different?
Well, at first, up until today, I'm still a child at heart. However, when I started actually noticing that I am actually growing older, not younger. When I was around 15, I think 15. And when I had my first, let's say, actual crush. So they're those kid crushes that you have when you're young, but those are usually never serious. It's like playful.
Most definitely.
Yeah, but when you grow older, it starts to feel more real. These crushes feel more real. And that first crush that I had, it was really something. But spoiler alert, got friendzoned.
Wow. The first time you hit on a girl, you got friendzoned. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but still after that, I actually took some time and actually thought like, wow, I legit felt something that wasn't really childish. It's like an actual adult feeling. So that's when I actually started noticing these changes, like becoming a man. Well, plus the other fact that adolescence, puberty and all.
So that's really interesting. So when you got this first crush at 15, prior to that, were you always platonic with chicks, or you were like, okay, chicks are just friends? Or when was the first time you noticed, okay, they are fly chicks and I really want to get with some chicks? When did you notice that? Was it through movies? Was it through cartoons? My favorite cartoon was Johnny Bravo. You always had the best lines, the best pickup lines. So when did you first notice like, okay, we can't just play with girls like this because they're different and they have something that we might want?
I've always been rather social ever since I was a younger. Conversing with chicks wasn't really that big of a problem. But I actually looked at them as, you're like me, nothing really different there. Like we're both human beings, we're both here, so we can play. I can treat a chick the way I can treat a guy, like under normal circumstances. But when I started noticing that things are rather different, is when here in this country there is this game. This game when you were younger, people used to call it Kalongo.
For your Kalongo.
Kalongo.
So for international fans, what is that? How could you explain that?
It's, you could say like a mock marriage, relationship and marriage.
Oh, okay.
Like a playful version of a relationship and marriage. Where you play with someone of the opposite sex. You can say, I am the father, a girl who is a friend will be the mother, and then some other children will be the children. And then seeing us, because we are really we like to observe as kids. So we used to see our parents doing all these types of adult things. Well, but not just in plain sight. Sometimes they hide it. So some of us would actually catch on to these adult things and try them for ourselves. So we would try these games like, you know what, let's sleep in the same bed, let's try to get naked, but not doing anything because, well, what are we gonna do? We don't know what they do. the worst, or let's say the most that we could have done as kids was just kiss, but but just like pecks.
Yeah.
But during that game, that's when I actually saw and like, wow, like this. She has different body parts that I do.
Wow. So the first time you saw a vagina was about how old? The first
time I saw a vagina, I was about 8.
Wow.
I was about 8 years old. I was really fat. I didn't know how our chick would come to me and like, you know what? Come, let's play this game. Like,
wow.
Look at me, look at you.
Because the last speaker.
Because at 8, as much as I didn't really get the whole relationship part, I could still acknowledge when a girl looks nice or not. Yeah. But not in a sexual way, like in a general, good, kind-hearted kind of way.
Definitely,
yeah. So during those times, we were just like, wow, like I have pee-pee, you do not have pee-pee.
I call it pee-pee.
I call it pee-pee for the younger audience out there.
You didn't know what it was about. You're like, oh, okay, that's different.
Yeah.
But you knew it was attractive.
I was actually curious. I was like, I wonder how. I even asked, how do you go to the toilet? Like, how?
Oh, yeah.
Like, we know how us men do, but how at the time you're like, so do you like put something in so it goes out? It's that kind of stuff.
That's really interesting. So from all these transitions, how would you say was your first mentor to be that guy? When you decided, you know what, let's get into manhood, who was your first role model to say, okay, manhood looks really good on that guy and I want to become masculine or be a man like that guy? Was it a parent? Was it probably a movie star? And maybe a character? Who was your first role model?
Well, as I grew up, I was a big fan of wrestling. And to me, I felt like wrestling was like the epitome of manhood.
Macho-ness.
Macho-ness. Yeah. Well, there's a wrestler called Macho Man.
Yeah.
Still. So, I had 2 role models from wrestling. John Cena and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. John Cena had this whole thing about him, like never give up, hustle, loyalty, respect. And I actually kind of got that, resonated within me. I use the never give up quote all my life, to this day. And then Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is a different type of role model. The way you look at him now, he looks like he eats bricks for breakfast. So he was rather, because of just his stature, how he looked, how he worked hard to make his body the way it was. I was like, you know what, I want to be that guy. Then I also saw John Cena also is really buff. I'm like, I also want to be like that guy. So I felt like those two are like my role models all around through my life. And basically that.
I think that's interesting because, you know, as a man, every time you turn from a boy to a man, you always have to have that. It's a strange transition. You can say that. You can agree that it's a strange transition where you're trying to figure out things. You're trying to figure out your environment. You try to notice your environment is different. And then you notice that you have to change for your environment. So I think we just have to say that you have to really having a good role model is very important, right? In this, during that period, because most of us, when you don't know how to find yourself as a man, you're from boyhood to a manhood, it can be really tricky, and you probably end up getting into the wrong company, you know, in gangs, in criminal, just to try to fit in. It was like, how do you handle this manhood stuff? So being a boy to a man, I think it's very essential. It's a period that every man has to go through, and I think it's one of the most fundamental periods or seasons in any boy. So I think what I say for myself, I had many role models. I had hip hop, I had my father, and I think all these things I picked up from each of these things. Also wrestling, of course. When you want to be you want to be a man, you see the most macho man you want to see. You see the guy who can never give up, like you said, who is almost unstoppable, and you all want to be that guy. Every boy has a hero, wants to be that superhero inside him and just release it. And I think it's very important for to get good role models. I think would you agree to that?
Yeah, I kind of would. I would agree to that.
Yeah. So even from boyhood to manhood, I think the whole puberty thing, also realizing about girls, I think the main thing you could say is role models. Role models are one of the most important things in this transition. That, and also being surrounded with the right friends. So could you say your friends? Did you notice peer pressure during that period? Yeah.
Well, I give in to peer pressure really easily.
Really? Yeah.
And I usually used to see peer pressure as like something that you have to go through one way or another.
Yeah.
One willingly or unwillingly. So it kind of did play a part in my growing up, because I remember when I was back in high school.
Yeah.
High school, people used to tell me these things like, have you ever drunk alcohol? It's like the best thing ever, that feeling.
Yeah.
And then I am like, oh really? Guess what? I'm gonna try it. Mind you, I am 16, 17 years old, and I am feeling like I want to drink alcohol.
Yeah.
So I drank alcohol. Didn't like it that much. Didn't end very well.
But you had to do it because, if everyone would have called you, a worse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But now, then after that one time, I just chose to. I didn't take any more until when I became legal, which is 18 for Kenya. But yeah, I could say peer pressure did play a part in my life, because there was a time I was also. Because back in around 2013, 14, 15, 16, there's a certain group of people that actually tell you stuff like, are you a virgin?
Yeah.
And then you are there like, yes I am. And then because they are not, they will tell you, oh my god, if you are a virgin, you are a wuss.
Yeah.
You do not know your way around women. You could probably be gay.
Yeah.
For all I care. So, but for me, that was like the only time I did not give in to peer pressure. I kind of kept it. And I kept that part about me under wraps to avoid that type of criticism, which at that time in age, it was really unhealthy for any person, really, because bullying was like a thing back in those times about 3-4 years ago. But yeah, peer pressure actually did kind of help me grow, see more about how the world works, and stuff like that.
So thanks so much, Ian. I think just sharing your story, we really appreciate that. I think everyone can resonate it, every man around the world, even in Africa, Europe, America. I think all these things affect everyone, from peer pressure to getting the right role models. So thanks for your story, Ian. I think the main thing we've learned and our listeners have gotten to get from this is that, the right friends and the right role models are very important into your transition to manhood. So any young teenager, early teenager listening to this, just know that you have to surround yourself with the right friends and the right role models. This has been the first episode of Guy Code, and expect more every week. Just subscribe and keep in touch. Thanks so much. This has been Guy Code. Peace. We out.